afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Propagandacast. Lehr with me, your host, Imperial Dane, the one, the only master of propaganda and instruction. Today's topic is going to be the Fallschirmjaeger. For a long time, sort of medium in terms of like utilities, kind of mediocre, then suddenly very, very good, and now they're sort of just good. What are the Fallschirmjägers? They're basically the Oberkommandowist's more elite infantry assault unit, and that's probably where they want to put the emphasis than assault unit. They pack a lot of firepower. They're starting out with 2 Kar-90Ks and the 2 FT-42s, so of course the FT-42s pack up punch. Additionally, for most other elite infantry, they do have one set of particular advantages. They start out with Panzerfaust, meaning they have access to snares, which most assault troops in companies 2 actually don't have. So that does give the Fallschirmjägers some flexibility in how they want to handle their opponent. In addition, you get bun grenades, and they get blend cover, which can use the smoke grenades, but they also effectively double as sort of an incendiary grenade. Can be used to flush units out of buildings as well, just get them out of tough positions. So for an assault unit, they are probably one of the most flexible in the game, and again, one with the most firepower. So you might be wondering, what is their weakness? Well, they're also kind of squishy. Like, that's really the thing also keep in mind about Fallschirmjägers. They are very squishy. Like, they can very quickly drop models. Even with high levels of veterancy, they can die rapidly. And of course, as a 4-man assault squad, I mean, they can also quickly suffer severe drops in veterancy. Of course, also they can ambush, and they also get an ambush bonus. I mean, they do have a lot of power and potency, but using the Fallschirmjägers basically boils down to understanding set power and utilizing it efficiently so as not to just immediately get them killed, but of course applying the firepower in a manner that hurts your opponent the most efficiently and just of course leaves them as sad as possible. So overall, how do you sort of maximize the utility of the Fallschirmjäger? Part of course is just trying to use cover as much as possible. I mean, Fallschirmjägers are very cover dependent, so either, you know, attack with them through cover, you stick to light cover, to heavy cover. And of course, another thing you really want to do as fast as possible, of course, is get the Shroud Punted quarters up so you can get them that second pair of Fallschirmjaeger Gewehrs, since it's really with 4 Fallschirmjaeger Gewehrs that they absolutely begin taking names. And of course, leaving your opponent in tears, which is really one of the primary reasons you get them, because when your opponent is crying, they can't really see the screen very well. So that's another tactical advantage for you. An opponent can't see what's going on, can't react well. Of course, additionally, they also benefit from just working with Valiant Assault, since it obviously further increases their firepower. So there's already there within the doctrine of synergy. And again, like, on top of that, you then have 4 Fallschirmjaeger Gewehrs on them, and they just really do incredible amounts of damage. Of course, right here we see the players sort of just use them to blob up, but you don't really have to. Then, of course, your opponent knows how to counter blobs. They can very quickly, of course, suffer even more because, again, remember, Fallschirmjägers are squishy. They can very quickly drop models if you're not careful. And of course, at the same time, the ambush bonuses also makes them, you know, quite effective. So, say, ambush infantry, they can that way sort of be used to set up a quick defense, where you sort of try to set up things correctly. Like, for example, at Veteran 5, it becomes even stronger, meaning if you sort of set it up correctly, you can actually do some heavy harm to your opponent's infantry with the Fallschirmjägers. But generally, don't blob with them. Like, again, blobbing tends to sort of leave you, shall say, a bit on the lazier side in terms of like unit preservation. And again, the Fallschirmjägers, again, don't like that. Fallschirmjägers want you to have good unit preservation because, as I keep repeating, they will quickly get wiped out if you don't have good unit preservation because they are squishy. They are really one of the squishiest elite infantry units in the game, but again, compensate for that with just also being one of the elite units with the most burst damage potential, or again, just flexibility when it comes to like having access to stuff like Panzerfaust. It allows them to respond to a wide variety of threats and to sort of, you know, flexibly change up what they need on the move. So again, in this regard, they can really just quickly also push a lot of terrain, and they can also be really good flankers. And again, if you particularly combine it with, say, a Valiant Assault and then a good flank, you can do some incredible damage to your opponents, as suddenly everything they have very quickly dies for them. So a lot of the time with Fallschirmjäger, it's actually coming out, how do you sort of flank your opponent the most effectively, how to get into cover the most effectively, and then how do you sort of deliver that damage the most effectively to your opponent. If you can sort of master these rules of the Fallschirmjägers, you can actually really just tear your opponent apart. But again, if you don't know how to do that, they'll just die, and they'll be very expensive for you to reinforce. And of course, counting Fallschirmjägers is going to come down to just how do you outmaneuver them the best as possible, catch them out of cover, and murder them. And of course, they are vulnerable to AoE weapons as well, so tank, for example, is a nice counter to the Fallschirmjägers as well. But again, depending on how you handle it, you can quickly also find yourself punished by the Fallschirmjägers if you're not careful, because again, they pack some serious firepower. Otherwise, again, Panzerfaust is great for just quickly snaring up a vehicle, which can of course just be used to either sort of make it hard for your opponent to respond and allow other units to quickly deal with that tank. Bun grenades great for just punishing large units or just trying to wipe out, and of course the blend cover is great for either covering up a retreat, maybe screening a machine gun and just flushing someone out the building more effectively than a bundle grenade, because they can just dodge the bundle grenade, but they can dodge a blend cover. They won't really be able to use the building for the time being. So again, Fallschirmjägers are supremely flexible assault infantry, and they are very much in that sense elite. But again, keep in mind, they are really squishy, and they will die very fast if you're not careful. But again, caution combined with some boldness can also carry far with the Fallschirmjägers, and additionally again, using Valiant Assault in combination with the Fallschirmjägers is also really good. So those are, I would say, some of the key elements to keep in mind about the Fallschirmjägers. Use cover, offensively and defensively. Always look to try and catch your opponent off guard with them. Try to ensure your Fallschirmjägers are not caught off guard. And remember, of course, use abilities quite actively, since again, Fallschirmjägers only get better with more abilities. And of course, the crown jewel there is very much Valiant Assault, which just further increases the DPS. In particular, if they got 4 Fallschirmjägers total, they can really begin hurting your opponent. So yeah, basically use cover, flank abilities, and as your opponent, just focus fire on them as fast as possible. Again, they really cannot withstand being shot at a lot, or just counter them with tanks. So that sort of roughly covers the Fallschirmjägers, how to get the most out of them, how to utilize them for the greatest efficiency versus your opponent, and of course, how to just ensure they don't just immediately get wiped, because again, they are susceptible to that. So there you go. Hope this little Propagandacast Lehr has been of use to you. Hopefully it will improve your chance of doing the most damage with the FG42 wielding Fallschirmjäger and winning more games with them, because again, they are quite good, but they are ways to show to improve that utility and their strengths and use it more efficiently, while of course not bleeding out as greatly. So again, if it has, subscribe, like, share, comment, press the bell button, and of course if you wish to support the Propagandacast, feel free to donate or pledge on Patreon. Links in the video description. This is important. Cheers, and see you all another time. Bye.